And we are live. Happy Sunday. Another beautiful Sunday live. How are you?
Happy Sunday, Lucas, and happy Sunday, everyone. I'm doing great. I love how we started this Sunday live off camera,
Yeah.
where we actually acknowledge the light within each other. And I would love everyone to start any relationship, any meeting they have, to start with saying, "I acknowledge the light within you," because. And I really want to share this. We are going to continue to talk about holding the light. It's going to be holding the light part 2 because we enjoyed it so much and not everything was said that needed to be said. So we want to do this Sunday live as a continuation of that conversation from last Sunday. And saying this to each other, that I acknowledge the light within you, is a beautiful way to connect to the truth within each and every one of us. And for me, it actually, one of the longest lessons that it has taken me to learn in life is that I am my own light in the darkness. It's one of the most powerful ones, but it is also one of the most hard ones to realize. We're always looking for this light outside of us. We're always looking for, God or the sun or whatever we're worshiping as something greater and bigger than ourselves. But the only place to find it is within, because we are made of that source, that light, God.
Yes.
So if we're looking for it on the outside, we become needy, we become clingy, we become, it's ego. We become the ego. And it took me such a long time to realize this, to sit in that knowledge that regardless of what is happening around me, I am my own light in the darkness. I am the one shining the light on my path. And that's how it is. So I think it's so important to understand where this source of light is, that it is within each and every one of us, and also to acknowledge it within each other and say, I see the light in you.
Yeah.
So I see the light in every one of you listening and watching this Sunday live conversation today.
That reminder, it's easy to go out into the world and get beat up. If you want to experience pain, that can be readily available for everyone. However, when you, like you just said, I acknowledge the light in you. I see you. I see you. That is probably the greatest gift that we can give each other, is to say, I see you. I see the light within. And we've talked this week. We had to, oh man, almost got me for a sec. We had to put our dog down. He was dying, and we took him to the vet. And I have not felt that just guttural pain in so long. And I was reminded growing up in the pain that I grew up in, and the environment I grew up in, and the fear and the chaos and the craziness and I wanted to, one of the things, like talking about holding the light, what I wanted to share, and I'm not sure if I have the right words for it, but humanity, I think everyone needs to be given the permission to just let it out. Just because I remember being a kid, like just gutturally, like screaming out to God, to whatever, what I can't do this anymore. I can't live like this anymore. I can't, this darkness is not compatible with my existence. And yet I need to, and it wasn't so much me saying I can't, it was more me expressing the pain out, which allowed, and I've learned over time, to let the light have more space. The more I held the pain in, it dimmed the light. And my wife, Lauren, just shared this meme, and it was so beautiful. It was like, express the pain through art, through writing, through music, but do not let your pain be a graveyard in your body. Your body's not meant to be the graveyard to your pain. And I thought,
Yes, that is so beautiful because your body is not, it is not created to hold that amount of darkness. Darkness is like an initiator of an
Mm,
expression that you might need to do in the world. So when you allow that out of you in the form of art or poetry or something that is
mm,
expressive, you allow other people to look at it, see it, and feel that they're not alone in their own pain, and that will ease their pain. That
mm.
is what art and poetry and literature and all the other expressions are for. It's supposed to be of a beneficial character. When you hold it, it becomes your secret. And you know, trauma is always, I mean, you have the initial trauma, but the real trauma is created when you're carrying that in secrecy within you, all the pain and all the things that you, the shame and guilt and whatever it is. When you're
Yes.
holding it, it dims your light, but you're holding it.
Yes.
It's meant to be shared. It's meant to be allowed out in this world so that you can feel lighter. I
Mm,
remember sitting in a meditation, and in the midst of this meditation, I was supposed to allow all the murkiness in my body to go through my feet and down into earth. And it stopped me because I was thinking, but I can't do that. I will pollute the earth. This is what I was thinking because it was so dark that it would pollute the earth, it would poison earth. And I was thinking, why am I carrying this poison if I'm afraid that I will poison earth, Mother Earth, which is healing in
yes.
itself. Mother Earth can handle my pain.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about that and I thought I have to release it. And I
Mm,
allowed it to go through me down to the ground and into earth. And I realized that I am held.
mm.
Mother Earth will take care of this. And I felt utter gratitude and love towards someone, that there is someone, Earth is there to help me release this.
Mm.
So knowing that regardless of what it is that you're carrying, you're supposed to allow it to come out so that you can find your own light again. Now, there are ways for people to help other people to allow this because we're usually afraid that we will be judged,
Yeah.
that they won't love us as much as if we show what it is that we're carrying around, the shame, the guilt, the fear, the whatever we're having going on within us. So if we share it, we feel that they might not love us. So how do we create that space for others so that they will feel safe enough to allow it out of them? How do we create that space that Earth created for me? Well,
Mm.
we do it by holding the space,
Yes, that's right.
by being non-judgmental, by being authentic in that meeting, by being forgiving, by being loving, caring, compassionate, by being
Mm.
trusting, by being present, by listening. That is how we create the space.
Yes.
None of these things have to do with speaking or giving, giving them advice because that's not what we need at that time. All we need is to express that pain, allow it
Mhm.
out, and have someone standing there with light and saying, you are enough.
Yeah.
You're good enough the way you are. Let it out.
Yes. Yes.
That's how we
Um,
hold the light.
you said hold the space, and we talked earlier this week that
Yes.
um our pets are
Mhm.
are like the
Yes.
I just have to say, just for documenting purposes, like my dog that we just had to put down was like the sweetest for 15 and a half years, like held space. And I didn't really understand until
Yes.
he's gone. Like that was
Mhm.
holding space. And even the men's retreats where I hold space for these guys, like I have a greater perspective now of like just holding space. And one of the things that I think is so imperative that humanity gets to learn and reclaim for itself is to not judge one another.
Yes. Yes.
It's like this is one of the things that I tell my clients and what I say at the men's retreats. I don't care what you've done. I don't care if you've done the most heinous, wretched thing. if you are here to heal,
Mm.
then you're here to heal. I mean, that holding space and non-judgment allows everyone to feel like, okay,
Yes.
this is what's gone on, you know, and share
Yes.
that. And
Yes, because you do not keep them prisoners in their past.
right.
You hold space in the now moment so that they can become something else in the future. If you
Mm,
hold them prisoners in the past,
yeah.
if you remind them of all the bad things that they've done, then you're dimming the light and you're actually not making it easier for them to find any light in the future. So saying, I don't care who you were, all I care is who you are now,
Mm,
because that determines who you will be in the future. You know, when my brother, who was for many years of his life, he was addicted to drugs.
mm,
And when he was free from his addiction, which he's been free for, I think, 15 years now, but when he became free from his addiction, he
mm,
came to me and he said, I won't blame you if you will never ever believe me because I've been lying so much in my life. So it's okay. I won't blame you. And I stood there with him, even though he actually did lie. As soon as he opened his mouth, he lied
mm,
before.
yeah.
And now that he was free from it, I was looking at him and I could see my brother. When I looked into his eyes, I didn't see the addiction demon in his eyes. I could see him, the
Mm,
light underneath everything, the light that is there. And I told him, it doesn't matter what you've done. All that matters is that from now on, we tell each other the truth. Now,
mm,
this is maybe 15 years ago, and it's been a beautiful journey because he has never lied to me
mm,
since
yeah.
then. But if I would have said, you know what, I don't trust you, your track record tells me I can't trust you, even though he's standing there telling me that this is who I was, but I'm trying to become something else.
Mm,
So for me to hold the light for him would be to say, it doesn't matter. It's not even a question of forgiving, because when he lied before, he wasn't himself. He was under the addiction. It wasn't him. It
right,
was something else going on, a different kind of energy going on in his body.
right.
Why would I judge him in the now moment, looking at his track record, when I'm looking at a vulnerable human being
Mm,
telling me that I am sorry for what I did and I will try to be better, I will not lie anymore.
mm,
So holding the light is to say, I see you, I see the light in you, and I am here for you.
yes.
And we've never talked about it even.
Mm,
This is actually one of the first times I probably mentioned in some other Sunday Live, but I never talk about this otherwise because it's natural to stay in that space and say, it's okay, I believe you,
right.
to allow someone to shine their light, not remind them of what they did to dim their light.
Yeah. Because obviously and this is, I think, the crux of healing.
Yes,
Hurt people hurt people.
yes.
And so he was hurt. He grew up in the same home
Mm-hmm.
you did. And
Mm-hmm.
his need to
Mm-hmm.
avoid that pain and stuff that pain down led him to a path that
Mm-hmm.
momentarily numbed that pain out.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, that's a natural
Mm-hmm.
thing. And this is why addiction, this is when I work with men, it's like pornography, sex, lying, money. Of course, you're going to try to numb out
Of course.
your pain until you can be honest. And I'll
Yes.
not feel like I get chills right now. Like, let's let it
Yes.
rip. It's okay. And I can share the dirty, it was dirty, my experience of my life and my childhood and my
Mm-hmm.
experience, and be a witness and say,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter how dirty
Mm-hmm.
it's perceived, light melted all the way. And I remember one of our
Always.
first calls, you and I,
Yes.
everyone listening, I sexually, physically, all the abuse categories. And I had this like tar on me. I was telling you, I always felt dirty and I had fasted for 5 years. I had strived so hard to clean this feeling of dirtiness. Like I was dirty, I was broken, something was wrong. And you were like, describe it. And I was like, I have this tar, almost like the movie Venom, this character that's like, it was like moving and I couldn't get it. And you said, well, you're the light, increase your light and burn it off you. And I got chills right now. I saw that and I just like intensified the heat of my light and burned it off. And it has never come back one time from that very moment. And it's such an incredible concept of light being emission of allowing us to see, but also heat, purification, healing, like many aspects of light.
Yes, because there are no shadows in the light, and this was a shadow. So if you increase your light, the shadow has to disappear. You know what? I actually want to read a chapter from my book that is very, very closely connected to this. And in my book, I write about love, and I compare it to negative feelings like hate and fear. But we see love and light as equal.
Yes.
You can exchange love to light here. So I'll read the chapter because it gives such a beautiful explanation of what light actually is and the difference between light and everything else.
Beautiful.
Okay, so here we go. The chapter is called You Are Love. We live in a world of magic. Thoughts turn into matter. Infinity unfolds as space, and eternity flows into time while you read these words, or while I read these words. When I was a child, I could see the enchanted machinery behind the real world. I knew that the universe and I were one, and that the universe was my partner in creation. All I had to do was ask, and the universe would provide, unconditionally. Since I chose to be born to parents who, due to their own emotionally scarce childhoods, did not know how to express genuine love, my inner conversations with the universe were often about love. What is love? I would ask. Where does love come from? And how can I get more of it? Sometimes when meeting a friendly stray cat on the street or cuddling my teddy bear in bed, I could sense the funny paradox of love. You know, the one where the more you give, the more you have. But I also knew all too well through emotionally painful experience that you cannot give what you do not have. During my countless silent conversations with the universe, I have come to understand that love is one with no equals. Meaning light is one with no equals. Nothing else in our reality has the same properties as love and light. There is a peculiar difference between love and all negative dark emotions such as fear or hate. Not just the obvious difference, but a deeper, more profound one. Genuine love is unconditional, whereas negative emotions such as hate require specific conditions to exist. Hate must be preceded by an action or a thought. One thought follows another thought, creating the notion of time, which means that hate needs time to exist. And since hate is an excluding frequency, meaning it separates and pushes things away, it also needs space. So, beyond the reality of time and space, there is no situation and no room for hate to dwell in. Love, on the other hand, is instant, all-embracing and all-inclusive. It does not have to be preceded by anything. It simply is, always available in the now, for the joy of being. Love is the base ingredient in the fabric of the universe, working with infinite precision and patience. Like mathematics and geometry, love is a universal language understood by all of us. The saying goes that love is blind, but the way I see it, love is not blind. It is just a higher frequency, transforming everything when felt in that vibration. Love not only transforms you from within, it transforms everything you focus your mind on from without. Love creates an atmosphere where even the darkness is included, allowed and transformed within its warm, compassionate light. You are connecting to pure love and truth because that is what your source is made of. That is the essence of who you truly are. When you're aligned to that source, no thought can be based in fear or hate, because you know love from its purest form, yourself. You're the infinite source of love. Your free will to always choose love and light is a treasure, giving you endless opportunities to transform everything you focus your attention on. Choose love and see the magic behind the real world, because you see, the universe is always listening and providing unconditionally. So why I wanted to read this is because of, we always say that love is the fabric of the universe. It is the fabric of the universe because it is light, and light allows everything to be, including hate and fear, because it is non-judgmental and it accepts it unconditionally. So, meaning love and light is the only real thing. Everything else is an illusion in that, accepted by that unconditional love and light. And we are made of that light. This is who we truly are, every single one of us on this earth. So when we judge someone, we are actually looking at their ego, at their past, at the illusion of them, not at the real thing behind the illusion. So when we started our session before we went on camera live, and we said, I see the light in you, that was to see beyond all the ego, all the forms, all the illusions created in here, and saying, I acknowledge the light in you, because that is who you truly are. And that's how we carry that light for each other.
It's I said this on a podcast the other day. No child is born with hate. No child is born racist or judging or rejecting love or fearful. No, we come into this world pure beings of light. Trusting,
present,
receiving love,
loving,
asking for what we need, receiving when we are given what we need.
Yes.
Until we meet trauma in the form of parent, in the form of schoolmates, in the form of teachers and society. And yet, what a beautiful hero's journey that we all get to experience, because we are that light, given the opportunity to react to that darkness or express that darkness out of us and still hold the light. We get to hold the light. We get to reclaim that which we really are. And we are the light of the world. Jesus, using a scripture verse from the Bible, Jesus doesn't say, if you believe these things, then you're the light of the world. The very first sermon he gives to the world, stands on the stage and says, you're the light of the world.
Absolutely.
What? I don't have to believe this or do this or say these special little words. No, you're the light.
Yes. And here's the thing. We are here to explore how it feels not to be light.
Yeah.
That's the funny rush of a surprise here. We go into this illusion, and then we see the shadows, we see the contours of the form. And if we forget that we are the light, that there are no shadows in the light, then we start believing in the shadows. And when we start believing in the shadows, we are lost in the ego mind. Right. So we're not supposed to stay in the light all the time. We're supposed to explore this reality, but know on our journey that if it is too hard, all we need to do is go within and realize that you're your own light. As I said in the beginning, that was the hardest lesson for me to understand. And I keep forgetting this. I mean, I know it, and I still, when I encounter an obstacle or some darkness, I forget that I'm the light. I start looking for the light on the outside, and then I remind myself, wait, here we go. I am the light in the darkness. Yes. That is who I am. And when I start reminding myself of this, I go, okay, so how can I bring light to this darkness? And when I start thinking in that way, I start looking for the brightest side of the darkness that is in front of me. And And that gives me joy here to look at it this way, because it's a solution.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that this is also what it means when, when Einstein says that we can't solve the problem with the same consciousness that created it. That is exactly what it means. You have to go higher. You have to say, okay, so if we look at it from the brighter side, if I turn on my light here, what do I see?
Right.
And you know what? When you turn on the light, you can see the connection between things.
Yeah.
If it's not on, if it's in a shadowy mode, you will only see the contours of things and you can't see how they're connected. It's like walking into a dark room, and instead of turning on the light, you start beating around you in fear because you're afraid that something might come close to you.
Great point.
Turn on the light so you can see where things are, and you can go around, over, through, whatever you need to do.
Yeah.
But you have to turn on the light so that you can see how they look like. Right. Turning on the light means to acknowledge that a non-judgmental way of looking at things will always give you more information because there's more light in that.
Yeah. Also, it takes courage to find the source of light. In that analogy of the room, staying in fear and swinging might keep a physical space of distance for some perceived threat.
Yes.
But it really takes courage to walk to that wall and feel it and find that source of, the light switch and turn it on. And when we can remember that there is no external light source, there is not, it does not exist. Everyone, many who are watching, I mean, thank you. There's so many beautiful souls watching, but we all know there's no external light source. It is within. And there was a time where collectively humanity there's documented times in history, even Abraham Lincoln, the great president during the Civil War, which kept the United States together, called for a national day of mourning and repentance. Essentially, like, it didn't matter if you were on what side or the other, like, let us all heal together, express our pain together, mourn together, because there is something to be mourned here. It wasn't like some external source. It was internally releasing all this pain and guttural experience that we've been holding on to, trying to look proper in society, and I'm okay, and look at me, and I'm buttoned up, and I have everything together. And deep down, it's like, I mean, I know that the amount of intestinal and gastrointestinal issues in the United States has just shot through the roof. I was diagnosed with SIBO and diverticulitis years ago, and that was all due to unhealed trauma. And the amount of Crohn's disease and all these gastrointestinal, it's all this pain stuffed in people's guts, just holding it in, tightening it in, and just, that's all trauma. But when I healed, released all that pain, I didn't have to go on drugs, or it healed. And it was like, wow.
Yes.
Can you imagine if we did this as a planet?
Yes.
It would be incredible. It would be incredible.
And all it takes is to understand that whatever you need is within, always.
Always.
Of course, we need to share stuff. We need to interact with people. We need to be each other's light. But the real thing must come from within. It always has to come from within. You have to find it, and you have to allow it to shine. So how do we find this light from within?
I think we will surprise ourselves when we truly get the pain out versus seek the light. And I think this might sound counterintuitive, but the light's in there, always on. It's like a pilot light in a gas fireplace. It's always on. And we cannot extinguish our light. It is always going to be connected to source. It is always going to be connected to where we've come from, like the silver cord or the umbilical cord of a child coming out of the mother's womb. That connection is always there. And yet the room is so full of all this shadowy murkiness. And I think all murkiness, all shadowy work is pain. And it stems from generational or real experiential pain that we've gone through. So when we can face our pain and acknowledge and no longer protect family structures, or my parents did the best they could, or am I in pain? Yes or no? Are you in pain? Yes or no? Then let it out and get it all out. And we will be, that's why I guess I was saying that like guttural crying. It's like when I was a kid, I would just cry out like I had to get out of myself, but that let all that darkness out. And I think we will shock ourselves how much light is in there. It's like the oxygen can fuel the pilot light, which grows the light. And it's like the more pain we express, the more light we emit. And that's how I would, that's how I look at it, certainly.
Yeah, I so get that. I mean, for me, it's a little bit different. For me, but maybe it's not different. It's a different kind of letting it out, to surrender to something. When you've been pushed so hard that there is no way out of it, and you say, okay, I need to surrender to this. What is it that you're surrendering to? Well, you surrender to the infinite flame that is within you. It is always there. That is what the connection to God or source, or the connection that is never broken. As long as you're breathing here, that connection is totally and utterly intact.
Yes.
Because what you're doing here is that you're exploring a physical reality, a polarity, and you're playing around with illusions. So this cord is always there, because if you forget yourself in the illusions, God can always pull you back.
That's right.
So surrendering to the knowledge that, okay, I cannot do anything more. This is where I am. And just sitting through that releases a lot of things for me. So for me, it's a little bit like surrendering. But the longer I've lived, surrendering is like remembering for me. So when I surrender, I also remember who I am. There is a connection between the two. When I surrender to the moment, I surrender to what is, I also remember who I am.
Yeah.
And when I remember who I am, I know that I will be able to handle it. So it's not about light shining out of me.
Right.
It's a very quiet thing going on within me where I go, I can handle this. I can handle this because I know who I am.
Yeah.
But it has taken me half a lifetime to go there. And I surprise myself each and every day with this. It's like I forget it while I sleep. I have to remind myself of this all the time, that I can handle this. Because when I am in pain, for me, I have to define what that pain is, because emotional pain can be a lot of things, like fear or anger or everything that is separating, pushing away, trying to take something. That is emotional pain. So I have to ask myself, what am I believing that is making me feel this way? And then I go to that belief and I look at it, and usually it's a crazy belief coming from something from my past, which I didn't implement myself. I didn't choose it. It was put there by someone else. So this pain helps me to release patterns and pathology and belief systems that are actually not my own. So when I look at it from that perspective, the pain is actually serving me to release the things that no longer belong to me. But if I believe the pain, if the pain becomes my truth, if it becomes a part of my identity, then I have lost it in that. So I live in darkness instead. And that's where when it's too much of it, I surrender and I remember, and then I say, I can handle this. So shining our light doesn't have to look like we're stars and sun. It's a feeling of freedom, a feeling of expansion within. That is how light feels for me.
Like effervescent beingness, just
yes.
just being.
Yes.
Means
If it allows you to breathe, then it is
that's right.
close to the light.
That's
You
right.
say this all the time. If it allows you to breathe, it is close to who you truly are.
Right.
But you know what? When I am in this place where I feel like, okay, I know exactly who I am, and I'm shining my light, and it feels good. It's like John Lennon. He says, the more I see, the less I know for sure.
Mm,
So it puts me in a state where I actually am not sure what it is that I'm looking at. It's like
mm,
becoming a child again,
yeah.
looking at it from a higher perspective and asking questions that you didn't ask before because there's more light on it and you can see more aspects of it. And something that looked like the truth to me, when I shine that light, when I know who I am, I can say, well, I don't know if that was the truth. There are actually different perspectives of this.
Mm,
So it allows me to become non-judgmental.
yeah. So
That's how, yeah.
you're sharing that also. We are in a society right now. I think that people, I use this term a lot, the Great Awakening. I've been talking about the Great Awakening. Benjamin Franklin was the first person to coin the term Great Awakening
Mm.
in the late 1700s. But there's an awakening again. And I think this awakening is the feeling safe enough to ask questions again. Who,
Yes.
what, when, where, why, how.
Mm-hmm.
And then this seventh question, which is so necessary for humanity, is so what?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why? So I understand that there's light. I understand that this is how we,
Mm-hmm.
but so what? Give me the greatest purpose. What's the benefit? And the benefit of so what? Why holding the light is so direly crucial to our beingness of just
Mm.
is because it's the truth
Yes.
of who we are. And it's the only way we can be free to continue in our beingness.
Mm.
Is holding the light, and love allows our freedom and knowledge and expansion to, like John saying, it humbles. The
Mm-hmm.
more he sees, the more children are humble. It's only
Yes.
the adult that says, I know,
I know
I've
exactly.
read, I have a degree. Who cares? Like, there's no way we know. and and asking these questions again in the great awakening of humanity to say, how did these how is this? How did these people get to where they are?
Mm.
Who are they? What are they? Who am I? What am I? Where did I come from? All these questions are beautiful because it's like fuel to the fire. It's energy to
Yes.
the light. It just
Igniting.
fuels it.
Yes.
It ignites it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. You know, the first time you said hurt people hurt people,
Mm,
I was thinking, I don't think that's true because I was hurt and I'm not hurting people. And then I went a little bit further in my mind with this and I was thinking, but I am people and I'm hurting myself all the time
yeah.
because I didn't put myself in that equation. So, of course, I'm kind to everyone else, but I'm not kind to myself because I have patterns from my past
Yeah.
that will keep me in pain and I will inflict pain upon myself, which means that my world is tainted by this pain. I'm not perceiving the world as it is, I am perceiving it through my pain.
That's right.
And what
It's
am I creating? Where our awareness go, attention, where attention goes, energy flows, and that's what I'm creating here. So it might look like a beautiful thing, but if I am in pain, I am not experiencing that beauty fully.
right.
So I need to put myself in that equation. So hurt people do hurt people if I
Yes.
put myself in that equation. And I read a quote by Maya Angelou, which I love, which it says, take a day to heal from the lies you've told yourself and the ones that have been told to you. That
Mm,
is how you stop hurting yourself and holding the light for yourself. Because we can be masters at holding the light for everyone else and not hurting anyone else, but hurting ourselves in that process.
right. The I say, the conversely is true as well. Healthy people heal people.
Yes.
And but the word is so important, is healthy, not healed. Hurt people hurt people. And that's a state of beingness and pain. That pain gets expressed to another. we're always in this process of healing. We're always in this process of expansion. So it's not healed people heal people. It's healthy people in the process of expanding their health, allow that pain to no longer pass, which then gives another person the safe experience to breathe a little bit more. And then that continues. So I think it's so beautiful. Yeah. You're right. We hurt ourselves.
Most of all, I mean, I read a thing from A Course in Miracles that really stuck with me, and it said, it was today's lesson, and it said, I will not hurt myself today. I had to read this several times because I was thinking, oh my God, this is so true. We are hurting ourselves all the time, and we think that it's okay because no one sees it.
Right.
But it's not okay to hurt yourself.
Right.
Hurting oneself can be so many different things, like perfectionism, for instance. When you do something that is really good, let's say that you write a book and it's really good and nice, and then you go in there and you look for the flaws in it because you are not satisfied with what you did. Allowing things to be as they are, not going in and beating ourselves up for small stuff. It's not important. Just leave it the way it is. Allow yourself to be in the now moment and feel gratitude that you're breathing and that you're alive. And this is what I mean when I say I have to remind myself of this every single day, that I am the light in the darkness. Because I can hear this voice in my head telling me that, you know what, that's not good enough. You could have done better there. Oh, this should have been done this way. And I'm like, shut up. I do not hear you.
Yeah.
Because why are we allowing this voice to dim our light all the time? It's like a switch. You turn it off all the time, and I'm turning it on, and this little voice turns it off all the time.
Right.
I think we actually do need to put ourselves in that equation, and that's how we heal the world. You can, as I say, you can heal lots of people around you, but if you're not healed yourself, you will not be able to enjoy whatever it is that you're doing here.
Right. You'll be so self-consumed too.
Yes.
And that's getting back to holding space for others. If you're always thinking about yourself, there's no place to hold space for another person. And while you're talking and letting things be where they are, have you seen I think it's called Fantastic Fungi, the Paul Stamets documentary about mushrooms?
No,
I'll send it to you. It's truly incredible. And they time lapse, just incredible. Like an animal died out in the woods, and they took a photo or video of it, and they time lapsed it, and the mushrooms that grow from it. And it's this constant, where they're talking about rhythm in the chat here, of rest and acting. And mushrooms grow life from death, and then communicate what's in the soil to trees and other mycelium in the earth. It's constantly in this dance, this flow. And yet when we forget to rest, to release, like you're saying, to surrender, we're actually out of the natural state of the nature that is around us. We are natural beings. We are not AI. We are not some technological binary data codes. We are rhythmic, our lungs, our heart.
Breathing in and out. Yes, absolutely.
And that dance, it's like the old billows that pumped oxygen into fireplaces, hundreds of years ago. That creates more light.
Absolutely. It's about, when you talk about the fungus, it's about knowing what to do with the pain.
Yeah.
When you know that it is there, you acknowledge it, and then you can release it. You're actually doing what the fungus is doing. You are transforming pain into something that might be light for others.
Right.
And that's how you help other people. When you transform your pain, it's not about, just talking about your problems all the time. It's about living the lesson that you've learned from solving a pain within you or releasing a pain within you.
Mm.
Showing others, this is how I did this. You have your own way, but showing them that there is a possibility, that there is an opening where they can solve their own problems.
Mm.
So releasing your own pain, there is a purpose in that.
Yes.
We wouldn't be perceiving pain here if there wasn't a purpose with the pain. And the pain, I write about it in my book, and I talk about it all the time. Pain is just a signal that you're deviating from who you truly are. If you're in a lot of pain, then you have forgotten where the light is within you. As we say, it is always there. It can never be extinguished. It is always there.
Right.
So it's for you to go within to find it. And the deeper you go within, the more you will allow others to see who you are. And when you can do that, you create space for them to be who they are. This is why it's so important. It all starts within. We have to go within so that we can heal the without.
That's
and
right.
it's like rings on a water, the wave formations. Your inner light and your search for that inner light, and my inner light and my search for it, will create these rings, and we meet each other through these rings. This is how we co-create this reality. Unfortunately, it's the same thing with fear. It is contagious in the same way. So if I am in fear and I don't know what to do with it, I might scare you so that you go into fear, and these lines intercross, and we create a reality that is fear-based because we have forgotten that we are the light and that we are the solution to it.
Yes.
So looking for the solution on the outside might solve small problems, but if you really want to solve something, you need to look at the solution from within and what you can do to send out the right frequency. And when you know yourself, you don't even have to work for it. It's just there.
Yeah.
There is no work in it. When you know who you are, it just comes out in the right frequency and allows others to be in it. You don't have to think, I need to be non-judgmental, because when you know who you are non-judgmental. It's just there.
When I attempted suicide at the age of 20, later the week, I a lot of deep reflection. And I wrote in my journal, inward reflection leads to outward correction. And for so long, I was only doing outward reflection, how I look, where I fit in, what do people think of me? Am I smart enough, tall enough, big enough, fast enough, articulate enough? And it wasn't until I had tried pretty much everything and I still could not get this pain, and I had to look within. And that's when everything started to change in my life. And it looks like naturally, when we prune trees, they grow back more robustly. So if we're always trying to correct the external things that we don't like, I don't like this about me, I don't like this about me, this fruit, look, and you prune them, then it grows back more. And humanity's in this constant pruning phase, as opposed to going into the roots and saying, this thing that is producing in my life is not me, nor is it healthy. It was a seed planted by another person in my container. And when I release it, like you're saying, surrender it and remember, this is not me. Everything changes.
Exactly. Because when you're looking for your identity on the outside, the answers that you will be given might not be the ones that you actually grow from and the ones that will make you understand who you are. Because usually it's like, I'm not lovable, I'm not good enough, I'm not deserving, I'm not as intelligent as you, I'm not as good looking as them. It's the comparing, it's the competition, because this is the society that we have created, is one of competition and comparing. And if you start comparing yourself with others, you will never be good enough. And do you know why? Because there is no one else like you. You cannot compare yourself to anyone else. You need to acknowledge your uniqueness and understand that everyone is unique out there. Because if you want to become as someone else, you become a copy of yourself, and that is not your purpose here. So it will be painful. It will be painful as hell,
Yeah.
Literally as
Literally.
hell.
Yes.
Because you are here to explore a unique perspective of all that is. Your consciousness, your focus point of awareness, is a unique focus point in time and space. Unique. There is no one like that. That is the perspective that God chose through you. God wouldn't choose the same perspective in different people, because that would be counterproductive. You choose to have as many perspectives as you can, which means that each and every one of us has a unique perspective. And if you try to be like someone else, you miss the target. And that's why it's so painful. And yet, when we go to school, we are compared with everyone else.
Yes.
And they say, well, that's good, that's not good. And it's futile. It's, to me, it's insane, because we are all unique. Each and every one of us, every single person is unique, like the stars, like the sand, grains of sand.
Right.
We're utterly unique, each and every one of us. So you cannot compare yourself to anyone else. You can be inspired and then do your version of it.
Right.
And that's not as painful, or that's maybe not even painful at all.
Right.
But unless you know who you are, that you are a unique focus point of awareness here, you will try to be someone else. And that will always put you off your path. And that in itself is a deviation from who you are, which will create pain in your reality and your life.
That's right. I just had this realization for a while. There's a narrative that Solomon was the wisest person to ever live, but Solomon means Sol Oman, sun and moon.
Yes, Sol Oman. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
sun and moon. And this gets back to yin and yang, where in the daylight, in the sun, there are shadows. And in the moonlight, there is darkness, but there's still light. And the wisdom of understanding to know where the light is, regardless of day or night, is the space that we can hold. And I think this is where true wisdom is found. It doesn't matter if we're in darkness, there is always the light, and is the light of the moon. Yes. And it doesn't matter if we're in daylight and it is all light, there's always shadow.
Yes, absolutely.
That's a big thing. I've been struggling with this. Like, what does Solomon mean? Solomon means sun and moon. That's where we get monkey, moon key, monsters. It's the moon, stars that come, like all these play on words and nomenclature and the anagrams and all the things that are happening. But sun and moon, there is light and there's obviously shadow, and there's darkness and there's always light. It's a beautiful concept.
For me, when you say it this way, Solomon would be the balance.
Balance. Yes.
Yeah.
Truly holding space. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. That's
understanding who you are and holding that space. And the way I see it is that as long as we are in this physical reality, we will have a shadow. You cannot run away from your shadow. It is always there. When you know who you are, your shadow is really small. You're standing on it. It's like having the sun straight above you as in noon. Yes. You can almost not see your shadow. It is there, but you stand on it. You own your shadow. And this for me is an analogy to know who you are. It's like standing at noon outside and looking for your shadow. You will not find it because you're standing on it. The less you know who you are, the more you try to be like someone else or compare yourself, or the more you are not aware of who you are, the bigger the shadow is. It's like the sun is not straight above you. either very close to the horizon on this side or on this side. And it depends on where your problem is. If you're connected to your past and cannot let it go, or if you're afraid of the future and do not know how to take that step into the future, this shadow will look enormous to you, but it's an illusion, because it's a question of centering yourself, allowing your sun to be straight above you. That's how you own that shadow, and that's how you know that you are in the light. It is always there for you. It's a question of centering yourself, balancing yourself, going, trusting that this light is within you, and it will always be expansion. It will always be loving. The perspective you need to look through is non-judgmental, loving, caring, compassionate, neutral, allowing yourself to stand in that. That is how you connect to the light within. It's hard because the reality out there will push your buttons. It will pull and tug and push. But still, we talked about it in our last Sunday Live, that the responsibility is always within us. Always. And as you just talked about how there is no such thing as healed people. Right. We are a work in progress. Yep. This is why I wake up in the morning and suddenly I forgot who I am. I have to work through the day to remember that I am the light in the darkness. Right. So it's a question of a progress in work, but making that work enjoyable, because every time you remember it, it will give you a little dopamine kick, because you remember who you are. So practicing it more and more, to be present in the now moment, not to be in a reactive state. When you feel that you need to react, stop and think a little bit before you react, or observe yourself and ask, why did I react this way, without guilt tripping yourself, being kind to yourself. That's how you get closer to that light, and forgive yourself when you're in darkness, because we all are. It doesn't have to be complicated. It's just that it has to be done in every now moment. That's the trick. It's not complicated. It's just that it has to be done in every now moment.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Yes. It really is beautiful.
Yeah. I see that we have come close to an hour, and it went so fast. I can sense when we're nearing an hour here, and I'm having such a great time, and it's too bad that 1 hour goes so fast. Yeah. What is time, actually?
True. We'll have next week. We'll do. And I have to say, this is a great morning, because I got an extra hour of productivity this morning to fall back. Yes. I just want to say thank you to everyone. Lantern, Peace Network Worldwide. You have a huge fan in them. Sergey, it's so good to see you, brother. Sergey is holding the light in Canada. Starla, who else was in here? Yeah, I think that's it. But everyone, thank you for watching, and
thank you so much.
This has been so beautiful. This is so neat. It's just refreshing the soul. So beautiful. So thank you.
Yes, so much needed.